5 after 8 o'clock. Welcome back. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We are now going to be talking with attorney Ayesha Vahed. She is Salaamedia's legal reporter based in the Netherlands. And of course, she was at The Hague yesterday. We do know that the Palestinians are now seeking to end the Israeli occupation. The Palestinian representatives yesterday asked judges at the UN's highest court to declare Israel's occupation of their territory illegal, saying their advisory opinion could contribute to a two-state solution and a lasting peace. And that is, of course, a strong argument that they actually put forward. I also know that Rad Mansour, apparently, when he was making his statement to the court, was very, very emotional. So let's hear from Ayesha Vahed how everything played out yesterday at The Hague. Assalamu alaikum to you, Ayesha. Welcome to the program.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So bring us up to speed. And I was actually quite moved when I heard, on another platform, when I heard Rad Mansour's voice cracking up when he was talking about, life not being normal for the Palestinian people and the lives lost up to now. It was very, very emotional.
I think very often in court, things are very clinical and this, everything is so formal and submissions come across as a lot of the public can't relate to it. And here, everybody could relate to Dr. Rad Mansour. He came across with such sincerity. He was emotional, but I think what stood out for me was his sincerity in everything. He came across to everybody. All he was asking for was humanity and respect for the Palestinian people. And he said that they only just demand respect for their rights. And I think what I've been saying over and over again is I can't believe how much of compassion Palestinian people have, that in the midst of a genocide, this man is standing in the highest court of the world and he's addressing, these judges, these ICJ judges on his country, and he still has time to say that he wants a future where nobody is killed, no Israeli and no Palestinian. So it was a really emotional address. I think there wasn't a dry eye in the court, and it was a very strong starting to the proceedings for the ICJ.
So, what else played out? We do know that Israel has submitted a 5-page statement regarding these current hearings. When will that statement be read out? And are the expectations by people like yourself and other legal representatives at The Hague that kind of have an understanding as to what that statement will be, be containing, and how will that then address Dr. Mansour's plea for a ceasefire and for the genocide to stop?
So right now, we know that the statement is going to be a very negative statement from the excerpts that we're listening to or from the media that we are watching. Israel feels that this is part of, or not that they feel, I don't think we should say that they feel, we shouldn't give them a platform to continue with the lies and to continue with the disinformation. So it's another tactic by Israel to shirk their responsibilities and to make it out that Palestine is trying to displace them or make themselves a victim in terms of a genocide, which is atrocious. All of these war crimes have been so well documented right now. 52 states have come forward to speak on Palestine. For them to just still have a blatant denial of the proceedings and to, deny the occupation, it doesn't hold any weight anymore, in my opinion. That statement could possibly be read at some time, but from what I know, the court proceedings will continue as normal. Today we have South Africa, we have Algeria, we have some of the Arab states, and the Netherlands as well making submission. And the court proceedings will carry on as per se, with each country giving their submissions, and at the end of it, the court will render their advisory opinion. So we haven't had light in the court that Israel's statement will affect those proceedings in any way.
50 odd states are going to be obviously stating their case in support of Palestine. And all Palestinians are asking is for the court to declare the occupation illegal. What does that actually mean? And if the court does go ahead and declare this occupation illegal, what sort of outcomes are we hoping to see? Knowing that up to now, Israel hasn't actually taken heed of any rulings that has been passed on all of the atrocities, not only current atrocities, but going way back from the start of this illegal occupation on the Palestinian territories.
So rendering the court or rendering the occupation illegal will mean that it becomes part of international law. It will be a formal document that recognizes that apartheid in Palestine is currently underway. It will recognize the annexation of the people. It will recognize the violation of the human rights, the regime, the displacement of Palestinians and erasure of their culture. It's very important that it's documented in law for other courts and other countries to take precedent from it. And once that is rendered, the court is not the enforcing mechanism. So the court hands down the law or the advisory opinion or the provisional measures, and then it's up to the UN Security Council or the UN General Assembly to enforce those measures. And in this case, the UN asked for this advisory opinion on Palestine, and it's unprecedented. The magnitude of this case, 52 states. This has never happened in the history of the ICJ. So we have a very strong interest in Palestine. We have a very strong solidarity with Palestine, and the hope is that once the court declares this an apartheid state, an illegal occupation, an infringement of human rights, the UN Council will then call for an emergency meeting, if not a ceasefire before that. And we know from the news yesterday that Joe Biden has now drafted a proposal calling for a temporary ceasefire. So that's something big. That's something big in the news and in law for us, because the US has never been swayed towards a ceasefire before. We also know that there are multiple drafts. There's a draft for a permanent ceasefire, but the US has now called for a temporary one. But it's still a lot of progress. Before this, we were not hearing anything about a ceasefire. So the pressure is building up, and I think that's what legal proceedings do. They put pressure on other countries to sever ties. It's sort of, how South Africa came out of apartheid as well, boycott and sanctions, international pressure on every forum. And if you look at the Palestinian issue, the pressure is building in all sorts of ways. So it's building in terms of sanctions, boycotts, protests across the globe, court cases. There are so many court cases coming up for international violations, for the violation of human rights, for war crimes. People are being persecuted individually for war crimes at the moment, like the case of Lia Rashmani here in the Netherlands. She's being prosecuted for serving in the IDF and for war crimes. These cases never came to light before. Governments were just allowing members to go, even if it was rendered illegal as it is in South Africa, it was free for members to go and serve in the IDF. So there's a big awakening towards Palestine. We're hoping that with the court's strong advisory opinion, that's what we're anticipating. It will just lead to more pressure on the UN Security Council. It will lead to more international pressure, and individual governments will call for the boycott, the sanction, and a suspension of arms to Israel.
Okay, Ayesha, let's go for our first ad break. We will be back with you in a short while. I'm not quite sure how much time we have with you, because undoubtedly you are going to be making your way to The Hague again today. Am I correct?
Not
So
that much time.
just give me an idea how much time we have with you.
You can do another 5 minutes.
Perfect. Stand by, please.
Media, your humanitarian broadcaster.
After the recent attacks on Gaza, many families have been displaced, with their homes left destroyed. Through your donations, our teams are on the ground in Gaza, providing support and delivering necessary aid to families affected. The people of Gaza need your help. Give hope. Donate today to Penny Appeal South Africa. www.pennyappeal.org.za 031 1100 573.
Out here on the ground with many appeal organizations in Gaza. You know, it's a wonder how kids get anything done these days. With all the distractions, when do they even get time to study? As a mother, all I can really do is make sure they have all they need to perform at their best. That's why I choose to include Sunfoil, triple refined pure sunflower oil with every meal I make. Naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether I'm cooking, frying, or baking, I know every dish will be a wholesome one. Sunfoil, now we're cooking.
With so many investment options today, it's only natural that you might feel a little confused which route to take. Should I buy shares or should I invest in gold bullion? Randery Jewelers now brings you the Zahab coin, an alternative to the Kruger Rand. The Zahab coin, a solid wealth protector in its purest form of 24-karat gold, is the safest way to protect your wealth. So don't just sit there and watch your paper money depreciate. Change to gold. Call Randery Jewelers now at 031 202 4701 or visit www.rjcoin.co.za, situated at 151 Essenwood Road, Musgrave, Durban. Randery Jewelers, the family name you can trust.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salaamedia.
17 after 8 o'clock, we are talking with our legal reporter, and that, of course, is attorney Ayesha Vahed. She's based in the Netherlands, and of course, she is keeping us posted on all of the happenings playing out at The Hague. Now, Ayesha, another very important thing is that the judges are expected to take roughly 6 months to issue an opinion on the request, which also asks them to consider the legal status of the occupation and its consequences. 6 months is a very long time. Already, almost 30,000 Palestinian people have been killed in this genocide. Perhaps in that time, another 30,000 people will have been killed. Is there no way that this can be speeded up, knowing the gravity of the situation?
There definitely is, and in cases that where it's so urgent, the court can make a quicker ruling. It can also be requested, even by the Security Council, that they do render their ruling, quicker, or that they render something in the meantime because of the urgency of the issue. So they give some direction to the Security Council or to the General Assembly before they render the final advisory opinion. So there are always ways in law where you can speed up the matter. This is a very encompassing matter because we have oral submissions by 52 states, and the court has to dissect that. And every submission is very detailed. So if you follow the proceedings, you'll see that every member comes through and gives evidence of the genocide, they give evidence of the occupation, they give evidence of the displacement of the Palestinians, they use examples, they use specific cases, they refer to the Israeli government and to the public, they refer to settler violence, they refer to specific cases. The court has to then dissect all of that and use it in a very encompassing advisory opinion. And we want the work of the court to be as detailed as possible. We want them to document this occupation in that advisory note with everything in it. So Yes, the court is a mechanism, and I've said this before, that takes time. It's the people who push for the quick change while this is happening. Even in the case of the Dutch High Court and the judgment that they rendered down the past week, that case was brought in 2002, but we only got our High Court verdict on appeal in favor of Palestine or against the Dutch government more than a year later. So the court is a mechanism that works with justice, but it works timelessly. In the interim, governments, state members have to keep pushing for that ceasefire, which is happening, suspend arms, and put pressure on the UN as well.
A final one or two questions, Ayesha. Is it too early in these current proceedings to even look at the situation of a two-state solution? Because obviously, when you're talking ceasefire, you can't be addressing it without something else being on the table. So is that still a viable proposition? And I'm also thinking about going back to July 2004. Then the court had found Israel's separation wall in the West Bank had violated international law and should be dismantled, though it still stands up to this day, going right back to the year 2004, 20 years later. The Israelis have flaunted that ruling as well. So, can we be hopeful? Is there hope at the end of the tunnel?
There is hope, but it would be remiss of me not to mention that we have failed Palestine. We, as a legal fraternity, the courts of the world, have failed Palestine. As you said, in 2004 already, that wall was declared illegal, and states should have put pressure on Israel to remove that wall. More should have been done for Palestine. But there's definitely hope. We have the biggest uprising, we have the biggest amount of protests, we have the biggest amount of education on Palestine right now, and we have unprecedented judgments coming through all the time. We haven't gotten this far ever in the history of the occupation. We haven't gotten this far with the World Court giving us provisional measures. We haven't got this far with individual European countries suspending their arms export to Israel. We haven't gotten this far with the people coming out in millions in London, in the Netherlands, in France even. We even have, Emmanuel Macron calling for an end to the humanitarian atrocities that are happening in Gaza. So there's definitely a lot of hope. I firmly believe this is the beginning of the end of the occupation, and we must never give up hope. Palestinians, even though they've been through so much that we can't comprehend, they are a hopeful people, they are a strong, resilient people, and we have no right to give up if the people of Gaza and the people of Palestine are not giving up. We owe them, we have a duty to them to keep fighting for them until Palestine is free.
And of course, we will be talking with you for the rest of the week. I just want to end off by reading out something that's been posted on Facebook by Antoni C.B. Linfeld. He says, "Save Gaza from Hamas." Antoni, I don't know which universe you're living in, but it's really save Gaza from the genocidal, illegal Israeli occupiers. Wake up, Antoni, you are living in another world, in another universe. Ayesha Vahed, thank you indeed for bringing us up to speed till tomorrow with my colleague, Salailo. This discussion will continue. Keep safe. Assalamu alaikum.
As always, it's a pleasure chatting to you, and Jazakallah for having me. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The time is 24 after 8 o'clock. News and views on Salaamedia. In a minute or two, we will be talking with political analyst Jonas Magedi.